Okay guys, so today we're going to show you with the Ultrabond how to do some heavier material. So we've done the light material before. We're going to show you how to do a little bit of heavier stuff like checker plate, how to repair some holes in some heavier aluminium, and also how to get rid of the anodizing and just what our Ultrabond looks like when you finish doing the repair. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how Ultrabond works on some heavy gear. So you may want to make a toolbox, you may be doing a repair, maybe you want to make a guard for a trailer or anything like that. Ultrabond can do all of those very easily, very quickly, and you can even do right angles. Now remember, the key is to keep the metal clean. So stainless steel wire brush, polishing wheel, a file, anything that's going to remove any outside coatings. So things like anodizing, grease, oil. The cleaner you can get the metal, the better the bond's going to be. Now remember guys, the key with Ultrabond, it's all about the heating. So you need to heat the metal. Aluminium melts at a low melting point. So you've got to keep the flame moving. You've got to use the metal to melt the rod. If you find that the rod is melting and it's not bonding, go back to step one. It's all about your heating. So we'll show you what happens in that case in a moment. But for the first time, let's actually show you how to do the repair. So the key is, again guys, to keep the flame moving. With larger pieces you need to get deeper penetration of heat. So we need to move the flame, heating the whole area. Bring it up nice and slow because you don't want to damage the aluminium. Use the rod as your heat gauge. So basically bringing the rod in, pulling the rod out. When the rod melts and runs like a liquid, you're now ready to make the repair. Now if you're making a toolbox, mud guards, anything like that at all, fabricating sheet metal aluminium, doing right angles, if possible, always do the inside as well. The more bond you get, the higher the strength. Now as we said before, it's all about the heating with Ultrabond. So obviously thick pieces of metal, like this piece of aluminium, they're going to take a lot more heat to get into than say a piece of irrigation pipe. Bigger flame, turbo head, it's still LP gas, so there's no problems at all. If you haven't got a setup like this, a barbecue gas bottle at home's fine. You can even use oxyacetylene, but use a neutral flame because you don't need the heat to get all that heat into the aluminium itself. Aluminium has a low melting point, remember? Ultrabond melts a couple of hundred degrees lower, so you have got a good leeway as we said before. But I'm going to show you what happens if you heat the Ultrabond wrong. So remember, the key is to heat the metal, let the metal melt the rod. If we heat the Ultrabond, I'll show you what's going to happen. So if this happens to you at home, you know where you're going wrong. So the key with Ultrabond, as you saw, it was melting, but it wasn't bonding to the aluminium. Now the whole trick with it is to get the metal hot enough for the metal to melt the rod. If the rod melts as it did then, you'll notice it gets no adhesion at all, it's not bonding, it's not doing any sort of weld, any sort of braze, it's literally just falling off. We're hitting the rod with the flame. Heat the metal. With a thick piece, it can take a bit longer, so if you can preheat it, if it's a big tinny or a boat, put it out in the sun for a while. Go and have a cup of tea. If it's a small piece and you can put it in the oven at home without your wife knowing, you can do that as well. Otherwise, a little bit longer, broader flame, heat the air around it. The heat wants to run away with aluminium. Use the rod as your temperature gauge. When it starts to bond, you're ready to go. Ultrabond is awesome for on-the-spot repairs. It's very portable, you can do it yourself. You can repair things out in the field or the paddock if you're a farmer. You can fabricate and make gear in your own workshop without having to send it into town or pay welders and things to do it. Now, as you saw, we can do heavy gauge stuff. We can also do things like aluminium tinnies, as we said before. We can work on irrigation pipe, large pieces of aluminium. We can weld tabs onto alloy bull bars. It's all about the heat, how you get the heat into it, and how well you make the repair. Again, guys, to repair holes like these, clean it first. Make sure it's nice and clean. Now guys, remember aluminium can also be coated as well, so whether it's got paint, grease or wax on it, it has to be removed. One of the major ones is anodizing. Now anodizing is what we see on this piece of tube here. You need to get that off. So you can burn it, blister it off, which is going to discolour your metal. You can file it off, or if you want to cheat, polishing disc on an angle grinder. So now while Ultrabond is going to make life easier and allow you to fabricate and do things in aluminium, checker plate, different gauges of alloy, irrigation pipe, where it really saves you money, castings and housings. Breakages, stuff that you normally can't repair, antique motorcycle parts, vintage car parts, pump housings, bits and pieces that you just can't get anymore or you can't weld with traditional welding rods. Ultrabond's going to save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars every time doing the repairs yourself instead of throwing those parts away.